In 2006, Shaheen Cheyenne and his team set out on an expedition to discover the medicine men and women of Mexico. The journey turned out to be one that they would never forget.
Serpent and the Sun is really the story of a lost culture, a lost civilization. When the Spaniards came, the Aztec people knew that their world as it was would be changed forever.
The Aztec people, as we know it, basically we think in the West, believe that they were completely decimated by the Spanish cultures.
The people went into hiding for 468 years. From one generation to the next, they passed down their information.
It's a documentary that's telling the story of this young boy's sort of transformation into a man and following in the Aztec traditions by the guidance of the maestro.
It's a road trip, it's an adventure movie, there's danger and intrigue, there's comedy, it's got it all.
We didn't know that this was going to be our story. We didn't go to Mexico to make a story about the Aztecs or Ejecatl. We were doing a film on the general topic of curanderismo, or the art of traditional Mexican folk healers. Tachi, who was actually one of our production assistants, turned out to be this amazing guy. I took him outside for a minute during one of our breaks and we started talking. And he had this incredible story that needed to be told.
Mictlan Ejecatl Colquinchon, I'm probably not pronouncing that right, is 52nd generation Aztec shaman of the Tezcatlipoca tradition.
Well, Tachi and Eje hit it off instantly. The two decided that they would go on a journey to the highlands of Mexico. And us being there in the room, I simply asked them if we could follow them on this journey, and they agreed. And so us and a crew of 11 people got in this van and we went on this journey. And they insisted on walking a good chunk of the journey. So we were in this van following them with our camera equipment as they would go to these amazing exotic locations.
Can't have them do this at one time. This is it. Let's make it count. Okay, let's go downstairs. Come on. Okay, what do we put everything down?
Crew on Serpent and the Sun was really exposed to some of the most adverse situations that any crew could be exposed to. Torrential rains, mosquitoes, having to sleep outside in the roughest conditions, sleeping in the most rural of areas where there's no plumbing. When you do an independent production and you're traveling, you got to be ready for whatever comes your way.
I think it takes a really special person, and I think Shaheen's a very special director. He has managed to find the shaman who, you know, for the most part, no one even knew about this person. And Shaheen traveled through Mexico to find him, and now has, you know, through his amazing producing ability, brought this and captured this person to give the world his message.
Working with the director Shaheen on this film was an interesting challenge. It was clear that this was also a journey of self-discovery for him, and that being his first film, he was finding himself as a filmmaker.
The story really resonated with me personally. It was something that I took very personally and thought, wow, so I'm not alone. I'm not the only one that's had this kind of experience.
I felt seasick, though I don't know why. There was a turning in my stomach. I began to feel a bit uneasy, but a voice in the distance whispered to me, "Remember who you are."
Directing a 52nd generation Aztec medicine man really wasn't easy. One of the things that Ejecatl was adamant about is that there is no acting. And I tried to explain to Ejecatl many times that, you know, this is a film and that we'll need to recreate certain scenes. But the way he saw it was that there is no acting. You can do something a second time or a third time, but each time it's real because it carries the intention of what you're doing.
When it comes to his tradition and his ancestors and his story, he's very particular. So a word here, a face here, it couldn't be misplaced. It had to be told accurately because he wanted to tell the story as it should be told.
So the way it was explained to me by a Hikateo is that this film really is a message from the past. It's a message that's been held in secret by the Aztec people and is now for the first time being shared with the world.
In 1989, we started sharing with the people in the world about who are us and what we're doing. And the service we bring to the people is our medicine system.
Once we finished principal photography and the film was in the can, so to speak, and we began the editing process, we began to realize that we had a lot of work ahead of us. And I feel really fortunate to work with Brian Dodge and Mike Goodicke, our two top people working on the post in the film, because they really brought a visual element to the film that it didn't have before.
As time goes on, we've learned that the visual language of cinema must be expanded into documentaries. And this is a great example of a film that has captured the power of cinema and compressed it into this experience, but yet it's documentary. I mean, this stuff is real. This isn't fake. This is a real story of real people, but captured in a way that is so cinematic, it just blows off the screen.
Serpent and the Sun as a journey is all about the compelling panoramas, the stunning cinematography in Central America and Mexico. Something I've never seen before, and the way it was shot was really something that was really important to me because we had a very unique look in a film that we were working on.
This film was amazingly shot, and now we give it another layer of the effects and the seamless transitions to really bring this to a space that's just something you've never seen before.
When we first brought the film to Austin Wintry, the film had been through about 3 or 4 various composers, none of which could quite hit the mark. And again, it was one of those things where the moment I walked into Austin's studio, I knew that he was the right man for the job.
The music in Serpent and the Sun plays a much more important dramatic role than typical of a documentary. To create a score which effectively captures the Aztec cultural traditions, it was important to me to really bring their music and a lot of their ideologies into the score itself. I found a lot of archival recordings of modern musicians playing Aztec music, these things that are passed by word of mouth, etc., never written down, and then also sample libraries of ancient instruments recovered from archaeological sites, etc. All of that kind of went into a pot to create the score.
Osh Kanka, meaning here and now. Try not to live in the past, not in the future. It's right here, right now.
This movie has a message and has a tremendous amount of love put into it from all the crew and the cast, as well as the people that they met along the journey.
My hope is that this film becomes a wake-up call to the world, that we live as a global organism, that we are all connected and that we are all unified.
The message that the film is really trying to bring out is that we're not victims. We take an active role in our world and our society, and we don't have to succumb to things like global warming and wars. We can change our world. We created the situation that we're in, and we can change it. And it's so important that at this stage in history that we listen to the wisdom of indigenous cultures.